Who said only those with deep pockets can enjoy great food? Let's be honest, we all love food that is adequately priced. Middle-class creativity gave birth to many fantastic, wallet-friendly meals. Let's go through some recipes. With a slogan that charmed people, pizza spins claimed to be all of the true delicious pizza flavor in a munchy, crunchy, and mouth-sized snack. Pizza spins are the perfect start to this topic because the taste holds true to every part of their promise of an authentic pizza-tasting snack. People were surprised at how a crunchy pizza-shaped pinwheel snack could imitate the taste so well when this came out in 1968. Over the next 5 years, it was so popular everybody would be buying dozens of bags at a local mart or getting them ordered. Plus, their packaging was pretty neat too. It had all Italian colors to pay respect to the heritage of the pizza. They were made up of much of the ingredients used in actual pizza too, such as Parmesan cheese and tomatoes. Plus, many of the spices you'd find in a regular pizza were in there too, and some pepper. So all in all, they were really the best snack you could get, and they just cost a few cents. Now, if only they did not get discontinued in 1975. A fruity and healthy alternative to your usual Coca-Cola or Dew with a taste that put you in mentally in a relaxing tangerine garden with fresh oranges, High C was a really sick drink that launched in the 70s and 80s. The best phase they probably had was when they paired up with Ghostbusters for a promotion drink, which ended up being the High C Ecto Cooler drink. It was an all-green drink that was kept in the themes of the movie, and fans responded pretty well to it. A lot of health articles would hate it and say it was terrible for kids, but that did not stop them from chugging them down relentlessly. Maybe the lesson is moderation? Either way, High C wanted to keep the arrangement going just that way, and actually kept this line of their drinks steady up until the 2010s, when it got discontinued. There's a lot of online discourse and support for the drink to come back since it was a massive fan favorite, not just for loyal Ghostbuster savants, but your average young adult too. It was a nice fruit juice, and it did not feel as bad as chugging a couple of cans of fizzy and in bulk, pricey soda. We sure would love to try it since it seems pretty citrusy. These Swanson fried chicken TV dinners were literally the best thing you could get on a budget if you wanted to make your movie viewing sessions infinitely better. They barely cost anything, and you had 280-degree seasoned fried chicken cutlets, which came as frozen dinners. All you had to do was cook them, and by cook we mean flip until golden brown. Sounds easy enough, right? So is mashing some potatoes, which people would often make as a side. Add some thyme and rosemary for the ambiance, and you have yourself a gourmet meal under $10. We cannot stress how much of a reliable comfort food these were, and since they never made you tense up about spending unnecessarily, you could eat with a smile on your face. Unfortunately, they got discontinued in the 2000s despite enjoying such a strong market presence. General Mills introduced Sir Grapefellow and Baron von Redberry, the history books of American cereal, during 1972, and these even had World War I and II packaging. These cereals were incredibly popular, with most U.S. kids waking up across the nation to enjoy them, even though it was torture not getting those last 5 minutes of sleep. Even adults could enjoy a bowl when there was nothing else in the pantry, and you just had to quiet your stomach. These cereals rival all the big names that were already present in the market and wreaking havoc, such as Quake and Frankenberry. And despite being loyal to many of those kids, definitely changed their minds the first time a bowl of this came out. Much to their sadness, in 1975, it got discontinued and has not made any noise since in the market. Young's also hit culinary and financial gold when they came up with Findus Crispy Pancakes, perhaps one of their most successful product lines yet. These were replaced with Chef's classic and original Pancake Co. But so many people outright rejected that. Talk about product loyalty, huh? Even today, there is quite an active and loud community on the internet advocating daily with every bit of their bandwidth to bring this back. We get it too, since these were such a cheap and affordable way to have some absolutely fluffy and delicious pancakes. Early in the morning or late at night, none of that mattered when there was no batter to deal with and only joy to have. It is quite sad that the best of things often get taken away from us, that too around their peak years. Keebler's fudge-flavored Magic Millies were a trick-or-treat item, so you can imagine how the sales spiked for this chocolatey snack during Halloween. Think of these as ice cream sandwich cakes, except a lot more reasonably priced and not at all something you can only have once or twice a week because it just would not work with your monthly schedule money-wise any other way. The lovely thing about a snack, food tradition, or dish that works well within the mass class's capacity during the times is that the product instantly becomes massively accessible. Magic Millies were definitely a prime example of this, as during the height of their fame in the 70s, you could not tear a kid away from these. Nabisco's Swiss cheese crackers were another popular thing to chow down on while you were hungry or waiting on a proper meal, and they picked up a lot of steam towards the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. These crackers are used in sandwiches, nachos, as a crumb topping, and a lot more. They came in this bright red and yellow box, which, by the way, did you know the color yellow is supposed to trigger your hunger? That is why McDonald's always has it going on. Anyways, the Nabisco crackers came in some other flavors too, but the Swiss cheese one was the one that had most middle-class Americans in a hypnotic trance, and we can definitely see why. If you were a middle-aged person who wanted to spice up their breakfast with a pastry that did more than just pop up or be slightly golden brown, then Donka's toaster pastries were your nirvana, or at least as close as you could get to one within $1. With a tagline that promised authenticity and being the pastry that deserves to be called pastry, while showing off its soft and flaky crust, these toaster pastries were for 7 cents a pack and could set you up as much as you needed before work because everyone had them, and they were delicious. If you found yourself not having the time or appetite for a full breakfast, then this was definitely the way to go. And plus, they went great with a side of jam or cheese. It has been a long while since these were the talk of the town, but no one can forget having this kind of goodness for less than 10 cents. Look anybody in the eye and ask them their top 5 breakfast foods of all time that they can actually imagine buying every day because of the price, and watch as entire masses of people answer with peanut butter spread. Well, Kugel did not need to ask that to know there was a serious need for a flavored peanut spread that brought something else to the table, something no other spread was offering. It launched its line of Kugel spreads with several flavors such as chocolate and cinnamon, and its versatility was probably why so many age groups and people jammed with it, as you could always find a tub of Kugels in the fridge back in the 70s. They got discontinued sometime into the 80s, but these were a legendary spread that people miss out on today. An even healthier and nicer breakfast than some good old jam can be classic oatmeal, which cuts your fat, builds muscle, tastes great if you know what you are doing, and is easy enough to make. Quaker Instant Oatmeal Sea Adventures line especially understood why something like oatmeal has been consumed as breakfast all over the world for literally centuries now, and capitalized on the simple but timeless dish. They came out with several different versions like Quaker Berry Blue Sea Adventures, and one of the most popular aspects was the blocks of sugar eggs you could find inside the oatmeal, which added both a sensory surprise and one for your taste buds. Quaker Oats are already a household name still, but this particular line of oatmeal? They outdid themselves by a mile. The next 2 items on the list are going to highlight the sheer versatility of cornmeal as opposed to your regular bowl of oatmeal, and when we say versatile, we mean it, because caramel popcorn is one thing, but popcorn shrimp was an idea that took half of America out. It just was not something people did widely back then, having tiny shrimp thoroughly dipped and laced with cornmeal deep fried until they were a shining heavenly golden. At least people did not do it a lot until the 70s, when this became the movie snack to have or a necessity by your table while you were binging reruns of your favorite show. Popcorn shrimp was an absolutely delicious and incredibly easy appetizer that was not only widely available out on the streets, but also something you could whip up in half an hour at home and in bulk. That kind of ease and practical use really sets food apart from the ones that taste good and the ones that could make it into your daily diet, you know? Unfortunately, they could not stay that way for long, as popcorn shrimp is rarely something people go for today. Corn dogs are another example of how water and oil may never have found love, but cornmeal and oil are running a happy family of 3 currently. Hot dogs that were covered in cornmeal batter and then deep fried until they had a hard crust when you initially first bit into it. But once your teeth had sunk in, it was a tender and tasty experience that made every bit of those 25 cents worth it. Corn dogs were one of the most popular street foods in America in the 70s, and people could even go grocery shopping for packaged variants if they wanted to keep some for home. If you did not feel either of those options too much, they were incredibly easy, probably even more so than popcorn shrimp, to prepare at home, and you just needed a fryer, sausages, and the batter. Corn dogs still remain a snack that people consume today, but they have gone up in price almost 10 times from what they used to be. So, the days when you could pick up 3 fresh hot corn dogs and call that your afternoon lunch are long gone. Well, that covers your menu for movies and your work breaks. But what about a breakfast if you do not like oatmeal, do not have the time to put a peanut butter spread on like 4 slices of bread, but still want a fast and easy breakfast that is neither costly nor ugly tasting? Well, all you needed was to keep an eye out for Brut cereals the next time you went out grocery shopping, at least if we are talking about after 1974, when the nation was blessed with the debut of this cereal box in all states. It enjoyed an incredibly amazing 8-year run in the industry with no complaints from anybody, customers, or the shareholders, as profits were going up and it was looking like relatively smooth sailing. If you ever remember watching Pulp Fiction, there's a scene where the cereal does a small cameo in there too. Their most identifiable cereal was the cherry-flavored sweetened cereal that came with monster marshmallows, a treat for the eyes and the tongue. We would have definitely loved to have this in today's world because it feels like nobody gets the importance of a good fruit cereal anymore. Nothing like a bit of honest business competition to inspire a new generation of affordable snacks that people will remember as core memories from their childhood, right? At least that is how it went for Nabisco's cheese Tidbits, which were made in direct rivalry against Sunshine biscuits at the time. These cheese Tidbit crackers first came out during 1969 and made the 70s their oyster, as they would adorn the shelves of every grocery mart, pump station store, and mom-and-pop joint as far as the eye could see. Nabisco really knew how to not miss when it came to cheese-based snacks, and it continued to hold that standard with this one. These were like cheesy finger snacks and were absolutely perfect for munching on. If only they lasted long enough so that we could have seen the hype too. Sometimes the mood leans ever so gently towards the sweets of the world, though, and what better sweet to start your day off than some classic JellO? Still, even among JellO, there are lots of different options you can go for, especially in terms of flavors. So who sits at the top of the JellO mountain? The JellO plates were a solid contender for that role, because if you really wanted to go all out with some of the stuff and make it into a proper dessert fit for the tastes of any hardcore sweet tooth, you would make a hefty plate of JellO, top it off with some whipped cream, and end it with whatever else you wanted. Sprinkles, fruits, more chocolates, vanilla. People went crazy and explored all kinds of options. Still, JellO became something that people consumed in smaller quantities than outrageously large ones like this, so the trend did not extend past the 70s much. Kind of looks pretty still, right? Speaking of proper desserts, what about a middle-class friendly pasta? If you felt like going out and indulging in some Italian cuisine like people oh so often feel the craving for? Never fear, because a plate of pasta Primavera was all the rage at Italian-American restaurants and pasta joints that were popular in America. The 70s were a decade where people kept innovating and inventing by either mixing and matching existing ideas like hamburgers and pizza into the burger pizza, or making up entirely new delicacies of their own. The pasta Primavera was a veggie-packed pasta dish that was made with a cream sauce, and it saw a lot of love in the 70s all over North America. In particular, people could not get enough of how fresh and light it felt and how it gave you a 5-star taste for like $5 or less overall. While you can still find recipes today for the dish, going out on the town for a hot plate during a rainy day back then was something else. Zucchini is something Americans have always played around with in their food, whether as a side ingredient that props up the main attraction or as an appetizer with things like zucchini slices. But fried zucchini only saw the light of day during the 70s when people really started getting a craving for it. Not exactly a flavor you would call savory, but not entirely bitter or tangy either. This was a dish that people loved chowing down on mid-conversation or picking up as they walked towards their job. Some people considered it as a healthy snack to have on your cheat day, while some people thought it was all the greens they needed in the week. Either way, the trend of fried zucchini was a great one, and we think it would work today too. maybe as a pizza topping? Making pudding into a compact, transportable, cup-sized snack is perhaps one of the best things capitalism and the American food industry has ever done for us. Especially snack puddings, which took all of America by storm, especially the kids in the 70s, as lines of them would fill out shelves to the point they were more or less a staple item. Vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry pudding were the primary flavors, but the thick texture and rich, unique taste was what kept people coming, not the basic lineup of flavors. It is better to have like 3 good ones rather than 10 average versions where none of them really hit all that well. Snack puddings understood that and did not try to be more than what it was, and for that, people held it in their hearts loyally. We could definitely use a better lineup of cup pudding in 2024 too. Everyone has heard about a bajillion different kinds of bread like sourdough, honey oat, toasted, Italian, and while we really do not know much of the difference, zucchini bread is a bit of a standout because it makes you raise an eyebrow. It definitely is possible though, and some cinnamon, baking powder, and soda and flour plus grated zucchini in a well-mixed batter mixed into the dough for the bread would give rise to this incredible creation. If you thought people did something with garlic bread, you really need to try a slice from a fresh loaf of one of these once in a while. Though they are not as widespread in bakeries as they used to be, you can still find one. Back then, though, it was easy enough to just walk into any kind of convenience store and pick out some zucchini bread. Stranger. More flavorful days for sure, but ones we wish we could see in person too. That about wraps it up for our list of middle-class foods that took the 70s heart and kept it in a box all without spending too much. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe.